All right, so today we're going to talk about raising the minimum wage. And we're going to talk about why it is good for not only the consumer and the employee, but also the company. And here's the thing, I actually have everything just written down on paper because this is the Cynical Mikey channel. You guys know what we do here. You know what we're about. We're not putting on some big production, doing fancy infographics. Hell, I'm wearing my Hiss Off shirt and I'm wearing freaking pajama pants. Knocking shit around on my desk because I'm hitting my microphone. Let's just keep it real and let's solve life's problems right here at home. You know, honestly, what I'm about to show you, as simplistic as it sounds, it really is this simplistic. It really is this easy. Okay, so this is going to put an end to all the doubts. And the reason why I actually decided to make this video is because I had a conversation once again yesterday with somebody who we were talking about minimum wages and people not making enough money in, today's times, which, let's be real, people are not making enough money to make ends meet. Let alone get ahead or anything like that. We can barely even replace things that go wrong at our house. We're just kind of struggling to get by. So look, let's just get right to this. I chose Wal Mart today. Now, this will apply. The good thing about the calculation that I'm using here is that this applies to any company. I'm using Wal Mart because it's relevant. Everybody shops at Walmart. At least a lot of people, shop at Walmart. So, we're all going there, getting our goods, getting our groceries, slipping over to the general merchandise side, picking up something here or there when we can. But we all patronize Walmart. So we're going to use Walmart as an example, but this is not about Walmart. This applies to all companies. All right, so very simply, Walmart in the United States employs 1.6 million people. Okay? If you give them all a $10 an hour wage increase, that is going to be equivalent to, and this is assuming that they're all full-time. The fact that they're not full-time only even betters these numbers in the direction that I'm trying to take them, but we won't worry about that right now. We're just going to keep everything basic, simple, broad calculation here. $400 a week if you give everybody full-time $10 an hour more, which means to the company, this costs $33.28 billion. So they have to make that up. And what are they going to do? They're going to do like what most companies do. They're going to pass that cost off to the consumer. That's how it works, right? That makes perfect sense. So what is it going to mean for the consumer out there, including you, the person who's now making $400 extra a week on their paycheck? Let's look at revenue numbers. Revenue figure over here, 462 point some billion. That was their United States sales in their most recent fiscal year. Now, in order to cover the cost of $33.28 billion more, that means that they're now going to make up revenue 495 point some billion. That will make up for all of the added costs for salary. And that means that the company is experiencing nothing negative from this, because all they've done is passed on the cost to the consumer. The company's not affected by this at all. But actually, I'm going to tell you in a second how the company actually benefits from this. So if you go by average ticket price on a receipt, and this is just based on the amount of customers that they have per year, and based on what their revenue was here in the United States, $38.66 per receipt. If you add in the new wages, the $400 extra a week that you're making, your ticket price just went up to $41.44. You see where I'm going with this? If you don't, where I am going with this is that means that your cost for a Walmart trip just went up $2.78. While you're making $400 extra a week, your cost went up $2.78 on your ticket. So it's, as you can see, very negligible. Honestly, you should be in the same boat as I am, but if you're making 400 extra bucks a week, I don't think you're too worried about $2.78 that you're spending at Walmart. And if we go by aggregated data by receipt companies such as, I'm pretty sure this would include like Ibotta, Receipt Pal, anywhere where you submit receipts, they aggregate that data, and then of course they sell that to other entities. But basically what I'm trying to get to is Walmart doesn't say how many items per receipt. So why did you kick off screen? Anyway, that would mean 13 items per receipt, meaning 21 cents per item is your new cost. So you make $400 extra a week, and you're only paying an extra, not even a quarter per item on the shelf as you're shopping. That's negligible. You can afford it, and the company can afford it because the company isn't spending anything extra on it. Walmart, if they went by this, they're passing the cost off to the consumer. It doesn't equate to anything more. So Walmart still has the same profit in the bank, dollar amount, that they're always putting in there. Now, what does this mean though for Walmart? Because, what's the trade-off? Well, the trade-off for them is also that this is good for them because you now have $400 more a week in your pocket to spend more money. Their ticket prices start going up more than that 41, 44 or whatever it was on the other page. So basically, Walmart is going to start bringing in more revenue, selling more items because people can afford to shop there now. And Walmart incurs no damages because of this. And again, I used Walmart. Walmart is not the basis for this video. This is just showing you a simple calculation that this is what people always get wrong. When you're talking about raising the minimum wage, people start throwing out arbitrary numbers of how much it's going to cost. I did one on McDonald's. I'm not going to share that one. McDonald's is a little more convoluted because they don't report US versus global sales separately. It all ties in together. So I couldn't really pinpoint any accurate numbers for McDonald's, but I did get close. And if you do want to know what the cost of your Big Mac would be, since that's a big one that everybody brings up, I don't know why Big Macs factor into whether or not somebody can afford to live, but your Big Mac went up anywhere between a quarter and 50 cents. So, and if you're doing 3 ticket items, if you're doing a drink, fries, a sandwich, 50 cents to $1, is about what you're spending more. Well, let's just say $1. Your meal costs $1 more. If you eat at McDonald's 5 times a week, you're not feeling that difference when you have $400 in your pocket extra. So you think about that. What's not costing the companies anything, that's going to put you as a consumer in a better position. Right now, it's pretty hot outside. I don't know where you live, but it's pretty hot where I am right now. We have central air, and I still have to put a window unit in. Well, now I can afford to leave that window unit running. Maybe you have a refrigerator that's breaking down. Maybe every time you go to check your milk a day after you put it in there, it already stinks because your refrigerator can't keep temperature. Now you can afford to go get another refrigerator to replace that one. You've been putting off getting a TV, getting your car fixed. You can afford to do these things now because you have breathing room. And you're not even feeling the effect when it comes down to what the cost differential is. How much more is it costing you when it's literally just pennies? What do you want from me when I'm making a video? So anyway, yeah, this is a basic calculation you can do to figure out approximately what it would cost more, from whatever company out there that you want to do. Like I said, I did McDonald's, I did Walmart. Whichever ones you want to do it. I did milk too. Milk is another one that's a little more convoluted because there's so many levels of production. People that work in the farm, people that work in a processing facility where some stuff is already automated. But I think milk would go up. My calculation showed about 56 cents a gallon. When again, you have $400 extra in your pocket, you have breathing room. It is good for you when minimum wage goes up. I cannot remember if I said this or not, but I would like to point out that this factors in every employee across the board. So that also includes those of you that have seniority, that have been there for 2, 3, 4 years, and you're not comfortable with the idea that somebody's going to come in and make the same amount of money as you. This is a $10 an hour increase to everybody. So that way we're also offsetting the minimum wage increase. Every single employee with this calculation gets $10 an hour more. And the cost is negligible, but it helps you a whole lot, doesn't it? And it costs the company nothing, doesn't it? We need to rethink our stance on minimum wage. Nobody should be against raising minimum wage. Nobody. And if you want to make the argument for small businesses, we can talk about small businesses too, because you know what? Let me tell you something about small businesses. Small businesses, why did my computer screen go off? Small businesses are not employing 1.6 million employees, so the impact financially would be even lesser for them. This is just a basic calculation that will factor in anywhere across the board. So we're done. I'm gonna finish my coffee. We've just solved a big world problem. Now let's make a push for it, and let's try to get people a decent living wage. See you guys in the next video.